Howdy, my name is CXCD, and have you ever wondered what exactly would happen if a pony were to find themselves on Earth? I mean, obviously the United States government would whisk them away to an underground bunker that force them to do jumping jacks until their heart gave out, but besides that, I mean, physically, in relation to us humans, how big would a pony be? Would they be this tall? Maybe this tall. Maybe even this tall. Whatever the height, I'm here to answer that question because there's actually a few different ways to measure a pony's height. And it all depends on whether you measure a door frame or an 8-foot tall candy cane. I did not mean that to rhyme. Oh, and by the way, don't take this as gospel. I'm not trying to present this in like a journalistic way because at the end of the day, I'm just having fun, okay? If you find some competing piece of evidence, like, oh, actually, if you look at this gemstone from Season 2, Episode 4, and then you compare that gemstone to real life, I'm just having fun, okay? You don't need to analyze it that hard. So, as a baseline, well, how tall are ponies? Not pony, but like a real-life pony. Ponies in real life are actual creatures, by the way. Look at this thing. Whenever you see online, like, a horse or a pony doing something funny, I am telling you, 90% of the time, it's because they're horny. I'm not even joking. These things are creatures. Anyways, the only real difference between ponies and horses is their height. Ponies are literally just miniature horses. I mean, for the most part. I think ponies can have unique breeds to them, which give them, like, thicker coats and stuff. But generally, and for the sake of this video, ponies are just smaller horses. And how big is the average pony? Well, the Wikipedia page here says 14.2 hands? Hands? Now, wait here just 2 seconds. Fine, they are, let's convert hands to inches. They are 58 inches tall, or 4'10" on average. That's 147 centimeters for you non-Americans out there. And for you Americans out there, that's 9.6 hot dogs tall. Yes, I looked that up. Now, if you don't know, 4'10" is really tall. Or at least for these pastel cartoon horses, that's a lot taller than I would have thought they would be, right? So are ponies from the show actually 4'10"? That's 6 inches shorter than I am, dear lord. But we have to bear in mind that this is real life ponies compared to cartoon ponies. And the series is literally named My Little Pony, which implies that it's on the it's on the littler side of ponies. So even if we assume that real life is the basis, 4'10", we're still looking at the littler size of the real life ponies, which could be even shorter than 4'10". In order to keep our heads on straight, I'm going to start making a chart here. As you can see, boom, there's the chart. Let's put our pony on there. Boom, there's a real life pony. Now, just for comparison here, I am 5'4". Bam, there I am too. And in case that wasn't clear enough, here's Richard Nixon at 6 feet. Okay, now that we have me, a real life pony, and Richard Nixon on the chart, let's actually start calculating some frickin' heights, okay? Hey, I actually kind of messed up my pony measurements here. Ponies aren't generally 4'10". Instead, for a horse to be considered a pony, they need to be shorter than 4'10". 4'10" is the upper extreme of ponies. Plus, when you measure horses, you don't measure hoof to head. Instead, you measure hoof to withers, aka to their shoulder. Now, I'm not gonna be doing that, so I'm just gonna... There we go. That's about right. Now, before we start doing some big maths, have we ever, in MLP, ever seen a pony and a human side by side? Well, actually, yeah, we do. And you might be thinking Equestria Girls, right? They're all the Equestria Girls, they have to have at least one time where a human and a pony stand next to each other. While, yes, you're right, we're not focusing on that. We're actually going to focus on Generation 1. So let's use the movie as the basis, and for the movie, we see Megan Williams from G1 stands next to ponies quite often. So as long as we know how tall Megan Williams is, we know how tall a pony is, right? Well, the problem is that we don't know how tall Megan is. That's fine. We can just, like, approximate her height based on her age, of course, right? Except G1 never explicitly says how old Megan is. Well, shit. Well, let's just approximate her age, okay? If we approximate her age, we can then approximate her height. Which that means that's an approximation of an approximation. Good lord. So online, people generally agree that Megan is 13 years old. 12 to 13. Apparently, there was once a writer's guide for G1 that said that she was 13 years old. I don't know where that writer's guide is, and I'm too lazy to find it, okay? My focus is on G4 and G5, not G1. So, for an average 13-year-old girl, their average height is between 55 and 64 inches. So because I'm lazy, we're gonna make this 60 inches even. And that gives us a really nice 5 feet. Megan is approximately 5 feet tall. Approximately. The approximation of an approximation, goddammit. I'm going to have a stroke. And now let's find a scene where Megan is standing next to a pony, and here it is. Here's a scene where we're going to use to measure how tall a pony is. By the math, the Pegasus is 673 pixels tall from the screenshot-ish. And from the same frame, Megan is 854 pixels tall-ish. That means the Pegasus is 78% as tall as Megan here, which means if Megan is 60 inches tall, 78% of 60 inches is 46.8 inches. So this G1 Pegasus is 3 feet 10 inches, almost 1 whole foot shorter than the real-life pony. Put it on the chart! But, I mean, come on. I have a feeling you didn't come to this video to watch me calculate G1 character heights, because, like, who cares? You're here to see G4, and don't worry, I got some G4 for you, up in stock. Don't even worry about it. This time, for the sake of this video, we have 2 ways we're gonna try to calculate the height of a pony. Now, I know there are more ways to do it. This show ran for 9 years. There are probably hundreds of different ways, like, I don't know, average door height, average window pane height, how tall is a blade of grass, how tall are apples, right? So like I said, we're only gonna be focusing on my 2 personal favorite ways to measure ponies. The first one is we're gonna be measuring a pony from the height of a candy cane. Now, measuring the height of a pony from a candy cane is actually one of the oldest methods of measuring a pony from the fandom. In the episode Heartwarming Eve, Twilight points out that the candy canes are 8 feet tall. And I'm pretty sure it's like one of the only times in all of MLP they ever like actually said something was this tall in real world measurements. So let's take this as we can. So later we see Scootaloo standing next to this candy cane. If the candy cane is 8 feet tall, it should be relatively straightforward to calculate how tall Scootaloo is. Like I said, this is a very old way of measuring ponies, and for this one, listen man, I've done a lot of calculations, I'm not doing this calculation. This is the Reddit post I'm referencing from 13 years ago, right here. That's that guy's username, right there. This guy has credit. I'm shamelessly stealing his work. So look, they did the math for me. Yoink! So, from this Redditor's calculation, using the circumference of X and Y and the sin costs of the carrying the 2 ZW, and then we divide everything by half, Scootaloo is approximately 2 feet and 8 inches tall. And we can very, very easily find a frame where Scootaloo is next to an adult, which means adults are exactly 4 feet tall. Thank you, Redditor, that I shamelessly stole this post from. Thank you. So, let's bosh Scootaloo on the chart right there, and of course we need an adult to go with Scootaloo, and what better adult is there than Rainbow Dash to go with Scootaloo? Let's put Rainbow Dash on there too at 4 feet tall. Boom. Okay, because I stole those calculations from Reddit, I feel like I have to repent for my sins of plagiarism, okay? So now, let's torture ourselves by doing all the same calculations we just did with Megan, but again, with the DVD box art of Equestria Girls. If you don't know, some DVD box art of Equestria Girls has both Pony Twilight and Human Twilight standing next to each other. Using this as a general reference, we're gonna kind of overlay both Twilights as their PNG form, and then shift them onto the same plane. So now we have how big they are in comparison to one another. Now let's actually get their freaking heights. And like I said, let's just do Megan again. How tall is Human Twilight? We don't know. How old is Human Twilight? Listen, for the sake of this video, let's just say she's 18. That's high schooler age kind of ish, okay? We know Twilight from Equestria is older than 18, probably, but I just don't feel like arguing with anybody about ages right now. There have been essays talking about how old the main 6 are, and we're no closer to that answer than we were 10 years ago. So an 18-year-old girl, on average, is between 60 and 68 inches. Once again, let's split down the middle and go for 5'4", 64 inches. 5'4", huh? That's the same height as me, and I'm a 20-year-old man. Now, running the exact same calculations as last time, Twilight is 1,880 pixels tall here, while Twilight is 1,150 pixels tall here. Same as before, we just kind of throw those numbers into a calculator really, really hard, and we get 61%. That means that Twilight is 61% the height of Twilight, which means Twilight is 39 inches tall. So Twilight is 5'4", and Twilight is 3'3". Now, I do want to say that Twilight is an alicorn, which means she is slightly, just ever so slightly taller than average in her appearances. Am I going to calculate that into the calculation? No. Why? Because I'm lazy. Interesting. We got 2 different calculations using 2 different methods. Are you suggesting that ponies don't actually have a canon height? And doing all of this stuff is absolutely pointless? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter in any sort of capacity whatsoever? Yes. Now, what if I told you that there was actually an official canon MLP height that Hasbro gave to their characters? Not using approximate ages and heights and 8-foot tall candy canes, but like, what if I told you Hasbro actually deadass just gave us a measurement and said, this is how tall the ponies are? Well, that did happen in Generation 5. Now, I know, boo, boo, everyone, get your boos out in the comments, boo! But G5 genuinely has really, really, really well done world building within at least the movie. And they absolutely considered how tall ponies were. I mean, one of my favorite things about G5 is the fact that the entire world is kind of constructed around ponies, which means all the kitchen cabinets are like really short. Like, look at this from the lighthouse in A New Generation. Look at how short all the counters are. That is so cool. So in the beginning of the movie, during this song sequence, we are outright told exactly how tall the gap in this bridge is. That sign means 3 meters and 89 centimeters. Now, maybe they just put that sign there for fun, I guess, but let's overthink it, okay? Here's an old post I dug up from the Neolithic age. This old post I dug up actually did the calculations for me and actually said, doing all this fancy math, how tall the bridges and pixels and stuff and all the stuff I couldn't be bothered to do. Sunny is 90 centimeters tall, which means Sunny is 2'11", which is right on our scale. But hold up, pause, rewind, go back. I just had a slight feeling that this post was wrong for some reason. I just feel like, I don't know. I had a feeling that the measurements might have been done hastily for whatever reason. And Sunny's legs are splayed to the side here, which makes her shorter, right? So I decided to redo the measurements. Much like the DVD box art of Equestria Girls, I lined up a Sunny model and then tried to measure the bridge and the Sunny model using pixels. After doing some math that was genuinely horrifically close to the math I used to do in high school, like I used to do these problems in high school, I figured out that Sunny here is probably about 93 centimeters tall, which is damn well near exactly 3 feet tall. And we learned in the movie that Sunny is average height, which means 3 feet tall is the average in this world. We could also use that to figure out how tall all the other ponies are in G5. Now, as I've recorded this video, I've not done those measurements yet. I'll put them on screen right now when I do those measurements. Or, if I don't do the measurements, I just cut this entire part of the video out and you won't even know, so there you go. You know, I can't help but feel that doing all this was pointless. Now, of course, there are more ways to measure these ponies, and ways that will give you very different answers, right? Like, you could maybe use these promotional videos to measure their height, because look, it's standing right next to a real-life actual human. Or maybe you could use the average height of a door frame to measure Twilight's height back in that Equestria Girls DVD box art stuff. Maybe you could do that too. There are a million billion different ways to measure heights in MLP, okay? These are the ones that I come up with, and honestly, a 3-foot tall pony, that's pretty good. I feel like a 3-foot tall pony is just tall enough to not be intimidating, right? Anyways, I'm about done. Make sure to subscribe. Remember, kids, always intolerance, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye. Oh, and before I forget, do you guys remember when I was talking about doing that MLP G6 idea? Well, it's still kind of going on in the background, and we recently released a Meet the Cast video. It will be linked down below. If you want to see some of what we've been working on, there you have it. Anyways, back to the ending.
I bite at the hand that feeds me, slap at the face that eats me. Some kind of animal cannibal made impressions on me.